Kelly.
Hey.
Season 3,
Yay.
episode 36.
Woohoo.
We're back.
Yay.
How was your summer? Oh, shit.
So much has went down.
Do tell. On a scale of 1 to 10,
My
fun.
summer, assuming summer's over.
Summer is done,
Oh.
technically.
Lots of ups and downs, but pretty,
6?
yeah,
All right.
pretty mid. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't that great.
Mine started off killer.
Did it?
Yeah, then it
Yeah.
flatlined for a minute.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and it got better, for sure. What have you learned this summer that's new that we need to talk about? We're going to talk about subjects that we're going to do for this season. This new
I was going
season.
to say, so personally, those aren't applicable.
Oh, shit.
I learned that deer will eat my garden if I don't block them off.
Yeah,
I learned many
Yeah, groundhogs.
valuable, right?
Yeah, raccoons.
Life lessons.
Yeah.
I learned how to give a lot less shits.
Oh, I like that.
Fair.
That's fair. You ran out of them.
No, I'm reserving them.
Ah, that makes sense.
I used to run out of them all the time.
No, now you just hold on to them.
No, now I just hold on to them because it's not, life's too short is kind of
Yeah.
the general theme of this summer into this fall. Why am I getting so stressed out? For what?
Yeah, it doesn't
It
help.
doesn't matter.
Yeah, tend what you can reach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A week later, not that big of a deal. A month later, I completely forget. It's not.
I want to talk about, have you heard any kind of new trends that, how people will talk about certain things and then it becomes a new thing?
Fads, yeah.
Yeah, so one of the ones that I heard recently is men love saying, "What do you bring to the table?" What do
To
you,
women?
yeah. 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 And
When did you guys should stop now.
Well,
when did they start doing that?
well, I think I know the source.
Please do tell.
Well, I think it came from another podcast where there's some boys that love to talk to women and kind of like call them out on their shit. We've all seen this podcast.
Sure.
Okay. And I saw a clip of him saying like, "What do you bring to the table?" So I think men have adapted this. Like they can just free willy just ask a woman that.
They can't. You shouldn't.
If you're a man and you're asking a woman that, you better be able to know what you bring to the table as well.
Come correct. Right. Here's my resume.
Listen, I couldn't imagine saying that to a woman.
I didn't know that was a thing, Thomas.
So you haven't heard that?
No.
What? So we had a guest on here and she sent me a thing and she goes, "What do I bring to the table?" She goes, "I am the fucking table."
Right. I built the table. I
Yeah.
put everything on the table.
Yeah.
What do you
Well, I mean,
mean?
truthfully, I guess it is a valid question in a weird way, but I don't think it's a good, like, what do you bring to the table?
That's like an interview question. So if we're talking like first date, second date, getting
Yeah.
to know somebody, that is a valid question if you have your own response.
If you're paying for them.
Oh my God. If somebody asked me that, I think I would be kind of taken aback. And
There's a
then
way
give
to
my
ask that.
3-minute elevator speech of like how strongly I kick ass and then look at him like,
Yeah.
"You're up. What do you?"
I guess you could
do you
ask
bring to
that
the
question in a different way. Like, what do you think your best traits in a relationship are?
Sure.
That's
Yeah.
a little different.
Tell me about your
Does
strengths.
that hit different?
Yeah. Tell me about your personality characteristics.
And then bad ones
Yeah,
too.
right.
And do you have some references? I would
Are we
like to
asking
talk.
for
I would like to talk to 3 of your exes.
That one guest we had, remember, with like her Word document?
Well, she never sent that to us. We
I
need
know. I'll ask her. I talk to
Yeah.
her still.
that. I need to hear that.
Be like, "Hey, Marissa." That's who it was.
But I notice certain social things that like wash over people, because I'll notice multiple clients will come
Sure.
in and kind of
Yep.
have the same. They must watch the same
Mm-hmm.
reels or TikTok videos.
Yep.
And I find it very interesting, and they'll kind of concentrate. It's like the newest thing, the newest coolest thing, or the newest,
I have a couple clients going through that. I see patterns too.
you start hearing the same sort of
Yeah.
things.
Like decision making is a really big topic right now that's stressing all of my clients out.
Decision making.
They can't make decisions. And there's
Oh.
like different types of decision makers and how you make a decision. And
Yeah.
so like that's a common thread that they're like, "I can't make a decision."
I went on a
just-
deep dive on that this summer.
You did. Interesting.
I learned that generally girls do not prefer agreeable men. I didn't realize that was a thing.
That's
And
fair.
more of my clients that I talk to about it, I go, "Hey, do you like agreeable men?" And it's like I asked them to pick up a turd.
I was going to say
They're like this.
confused.
No, they're like this. No.
No.
I want a man to make decisions.
Yeah.
I want a man to, and I was like this. I go, but if you're agreeable, like, baby, I don't care. I want to do whatever you want to do. And they go, no, I don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, I'll ask you, you're a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
I did a deep dive because you know me. I want to figure it
Of
out.
course you did. Right.
So I'm like, why? Like, I'm a girl dad. I have 3
Mhm.
girls. I
Mhm.
try to be agreeable with them because I love them. I'm also fed for the day. I've already done what I need to do for me. So I'm
That's
not
fair.
left
Yeah.
wanting at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
If I'm with you after 5 p.m., what do you need, girl? Because I already did my stuff. Where I
Right.
think most men, I'm going to speak for them, they probably have stuff they want to get done because they haven't been disciplined enough to get it done already. Okay? Fair?
Fair.
Okay. So
It's just harsh.
I don't care.
I know. Well, no, but a
yeah.
lot of people are not. I would agree. It comes down to discipline. But they get up, they go to work, they spend their first chunk of the day, and then they only
Serving.
have the evening.
Yes.
Yeah.
And doing things they don't want to do.
Right.
So when I started asking these women these questions, so tell me if I'm crazy or not. Do you think the reason why they don't like agreeable men is because most of them were raised by fathers that did not give them a choice, did not say, hey,
Mm.
we're going here to eat. And you're like, I don't want that. You go, I didn't ask you. I mean, I've heard dads say this to
Oh, my
their
dad
children.
was
Okay.
like that. Yeah.
What I'm
Not
saying
in a
is-
mean way, but just
no, but they didn't care.
wasn't up for debate.
No.
Yeah.
So you think because that's the language and that's the communication they grew up with, that's what's normal to them? And if a guy's agreeable, it's almost like weak.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess when I think of it, I don't think of the agreeable part so much or like the decision making so much as like the leadership qualities that their dads had,
Right.
that they wore the pants. And there's a lot of
Like dads would breadcrumb them almost. They would be like, every once in a while, they'd go, baby, what do you want? And you'd be like, oh my God, he's
right,
giving
on like
me a
your
choice.
birthday. You know, of
Where
like, what
I'm-
do you want for dinner? Because it's your birthday and you get to pick.
Where me, I would go to 2 different places or 3 different places for my daughters if they want something
Yeah.
different to eat. If it was, if I
Sure.
could do it, because I don't care.
I think a lot of women want to be challenged. Generally speaking, they want to be challenged. They have an internal need to grow, and we're always about the change, right? We're always about what's better, the next big thing. I think that's definitely a more feminine characteristic than a masculine.
100%.
Yeah. So if I say, what do you want for dinner? And it's little things don't necessarily matter as much, but those are pebbles, right? That start to build up of like, can you ever make a decision? Are you ever going to plan something? Or
Does it come down to a trust thing too? Like that primal trust?
if you can't make a decision and I'm always left to make the decision, then I'm always up. I'm always up to bat because
Right.
you're never just taking the lead. So I think of it as more of like a leadership quality, but
I'm going to take
I
it
think
to the dark
decision
side.
making is part of that for sure.
I'm going to take it to the super dark side.
Go ahead.
Because in asking clients these questions,
Mm,
I noticed a lot of them would say this. I make decisions all day. I don't want to come home and make decisions. I said, oh,
Mhm.
that's very different.
well, yeah.
That is being lazy.
Right.
That is being, I go, what would you
Entitled,
do
spoiled, yeah.
if he wasn't there? You wouldn't eat.
Well, yeah.
You wouldn't,
Well,
you wouldn't watch TV.
the human experience. I watched this video is like, I'm going to throw out a stupid number, but it's like either 3,500 decisions a day or like 35,000 decisions. I mean, like
Yeah,
it's an
probably
obnoxious,
3,500
right?
At least.
And I think it was like on the news or something. It was a
It might
YouTube
be
video that
35,000.
somebody
Who
sent to
knows?
me. I want to say it was probably 3,500 because then I do remember that 200 decisions a day
Boys, Google that.
surround food.
Okay.
200 decisions about what you're going to
Ready?
eat.
Okay, whether you're going to salt it or pepper
Sure,
it or cut it or
sure,
use a spoon or a
sure.
fork
So
or a
to
knife.
say I want to come home and just exist
Okay.
is lazy to me. I agree.
I have a friend that's going through it right now, and we are talking about stuff, and he's talking about sharing life. And when I really listen to people talk, I don't think most people want to share their lives with people.
Really?
No, do you know what I think they want to share? Their burden. I truly think they
Wow.
want to share their burden because when somebody tells me
Mm.
I make decisions all day, I don't want to make them when I get home, that means you want to share your burden with me. You're not sharing your
That's
life
fair,
with
yeah.
me. I am now your assistant. Because assistants make decisions for their clients
That's
all
true. Yeah.
day long.
Yeah.
That is not healthy.
Mm.
So I have learned to make decisions
Hmm.
immediately. A or B. don't care. I'm just going to make a decision. Because here's what I've learned about people, not just your mate.
Mm-hmm.
If they ask you a question, it's because they really don't know. So you're either going to take the lead and go, I'll make a decision, because they need somebody to make a decision right now.
Right.
Hey, is that straight? You know, hey, is this a good color blue? Yeah, that's great.
Right.
Cool.
Do I look okay? Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're asking you this. And for some reason, we use it as currency. And we think it's currency. And I don't think that's super healthy.
Yeah.
I think it leads to a lot of resentment, because most people get really upset about that. I have to make all the decisions. Who would make these decisions if you weren't there? Is he giving, now, are they giving, he or she, are they giving you a hard time
Right.
after
Adding
you make a decision?
complexity to make decisions. Sure. Right.
So I have another,
Mm-hmm.
so, I open up a box when I make it, when I think of something, and then it kind of, I got to figure it out.
Mhm.
Most people argue about food.
A lot of people do.
And the same
An
people,
obnoxious amount. Yeah.
the same people that argue about food say, why can't relationships be like they used to be back in the day? Well,
Oh, you found a correlation there?
yes. Back in the day, you went to the grocery store once a week. Your husband probably didn't walk around that store with you. He sat in the car and waited for you to be done. You didn't even
Or
drive
was at
yourself to
home.
that
Yeah,
car.
right, yeah. Oh, that's fair. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you planned meals for the entire week.
Yeah.
I honestly think we are so willy-nilly now and undisciplined, because that takes a lot of discipline to plan your meals for the week.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. And to orchestrate them.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Be like, oh, I shouldn't have to do that. Well, then if you don't have to do that, that means you have to make a decision on Wednesday, because you didn't make a decision on Sunday
Right.
of what to
Yeah.
eat. And I'm not saying it's a blue job or a pink job.
But sure.
I'm
Just
saying
being
that
more
if-
intentional and disciplined.
If
sure.
that stresses you out,
Mhm.
imagine how easy it is if you just go, no, this is what we make through the week, and this is what we do. Now, there could be changes, because something
Right.
could change. But what I'm saying is, look at how much freedom we have more, and we're actually worse off because we have too many options. We're lazy as shit
Mm-hmm.
about our diligence in our own life. And
Mhm.
I do think that when you don't plan your week, you open yourself up to have those arguments constantly.
All the time.
Listen,
All the time.
most humans, if you're going to make me food, you brought banana bread today.
Mm.
I'm happy. I can't
You'll
wait
just
to
that.
eat it.
Yeah, right,
Okay.
yeah.
Yes. If you're going to hand me some food, if you're that picky, maybe don't date that guy or girl.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't.
But I
eat
don't
somebody
know a
who's
whole
picky
lot of
either.
hardworking people that if you come home and they're like, unless you make something like, I don't like cottage cheese and I can't eat shrimp.
Sure.
I'd be like,
right.
girl, really? What am I supposed? And then I'd just
Right.
be like this, I'm going to go get something
Right,
or order
yeah.
something.
Right. It looks great, but I
But that would be a
remember I
little
can't
rude.
eat. Right. Yeah.
That would be a little
right.
rude. But overall, it's funny to me, the arguments that we hear about. You're literally a couple therapists and you hear these
all the
arguments
time.
about food and you go, well, plan your meals for the week. Well, I don't want to, then you don't, what do you want to do?
You want her to plan them and make them around your preferences.
Which isn't, okay, then what are you doing
Sure. Right.
that makes her feel that like, I'm very fortunate that, people want to cook me food
Mhm.
and it's amazing.
Yeah,
and I'm
right.
so thankful.
Yeah.
Okay. And I could imagine, but I mean, I would make food if I was with a girl that didn't cook.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to eat. I
Right.
didn't make it this long in life because I don't know how to
Right.
feed myself.
Right.
But I'm noticing that like the stuff that really gets under people's skin, it's
Mhm.
so easily
Mm-hmm.
remedied.
Mm-hmm.
And the discipline that we lack, and listen, the men in my family all cook,
Yeah.
the women cook, but everybody cooks. But if you're stressed out about it, plan it.
Right. Well, I've heard a lot from couples, and this is harsh, but this is another like theme that I've been seeing, which makes me sad ultimately. But a lot of people in a relationship see all of that indecisiveness or like ambiguity, right, as more challenging, and they're starting to have the notion of if it was just me, it would be simpler. I could just make these decisions for myself. I could just do the things,
Right.
but I have to pause to consider you.
Ish.
And consideration is supposed to be a good thing, but when you're constantly pausing and considering the other person or waiting for them, or like that's where they start to
Right.
get overwhelmed, that they're like, it would just be easier if it was just me. I would do all the things. I would cook and clean and like
Well,
that would be fine. And it would all be on me, but I would wake up every morning knowing that it's all on me, as opposed to like waiting and seeing and discussing at length, like.
that's the new exercise I give clients when they're complaining about their mate.
Yeah.
About cleaning.
Sure.
about any of that. And I go, clean your house every day like you would if they weren't there.
Right. Why aren't you
And they look
living
at
to
me
your
and they go,
standard?
what do you, I go, you're going to do that because you're going to be single.
Right.
So why not just, by the time they move out, your
That
house
you're
is
good.
clean.
Right. You have your habits back. Why? But yeah, why
Their
aren't
stuff's
you
organized.
living
Like,
the
why
way
are
that
you
you would?
Oh, you're organizing my closet. I'm like, yeah, I'm putting your stuff in totes. So it'll be easy
So
when
can
you
pack
move
it up.
out.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's weird, like the food thing. Most people argue about food, and it's so bizarre to me because it's like you do it once to 3 times a day. Most humans do it. Like how hard is this? And how big of a burden is it? Like, let's be honest. You can cook a meal in under 15 minutes.
Sure.
Easily.
Sure. With all our options now,
Easily. And I'm
probably
talking.
wouldn't be the healthiest thing, but like you
No,
could.
I worked in a restaurant. You can cook.
Yeah.
Other than our ovens were always on, but like
Right.
other than that, you can saute chicken and vegetables
That's fair. Yep.
and all that and make
And
rice in
rice.
under 15
Yeah.
minutes all day long.
Pasta. Sure.
Unless you're
right.
making like lasagna.
Right.
Like, but who
Right.
you make a lasagna twice a year?
Yeah.
Most people aren't making lasagna every week.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like a, but even
Been
that,
on a lasagna kick lately.
but you know what I'm saying? But even
Right, yeah.
that's not that crazy.
Right.
So,
Right.
I think this is the lack of discipline. But when I hear people talk about that, I really truly think that people want to share their burden more than they want to share their lives. And if you guys are thinking about your relationship, ask yourself honestly,
Mm-hmm.
what does it mean to share your life? My friend was talking about he reacquainted with a girl he was dating. And he goes, man, I had to pull a motor out of a car up on my lift. He's
Yeah.
got a cool lift in his garage and all that. And he was like, I asked her, I go, you want to come out here and give me a hand? And she's like, yeah. He goes, if you don't really, just be out here with me.
Right.
Like if you want it, like if I go, hey, can you hand me that?
Right.
And he goes, it was great.
Yeah, I
That's
sit out in
sharing
the
your
garage
life.
all the time. Yeah.
That's sharing your
Mhm.
that's sharing
Mhm.
part of his
Right.
life. Not, making your burden. Like you need to make a decision because I've made decisions all day.
Right.
That, I kept hearing that, when you say
That's
that out
icky.
loud,
That's icky.
but we've
Yeah.
heard it a million times, right?
Yeah. Right.
And we've co-signed the shit out of it.
Oh, for sure.
And now I'm like
I don't want to
this.
clean. Why can't you clean?
It
Well,
needs cleaned.
Yeah.
It needs cleaned.
Like you said, if you weren't here, I'd be doing it.
I'm not waiting
If
for
I
somebody
wasn't
to clean.
remarried, I'd be raising my kids by myself. Like, so why am I looking
yeah.
at, like,
I'm not waiting
Yeah.
for somebody to clean.
now I think that has more to do with, like you said, the other person and their entitlement. I see people complain about food and I'm like, well, you don't want to make the decision. They've already made the decision and now you're making it and you're complaining that you don't like it or that like that's icky. You didn't make food.
Right.
You could have engaged. You could have given input.
You're a grown adult in a relationship. I'm going to assume you know how to, you've made it. Unless you're a child bride.
Right. Yeah.
But weirdly enough, after about 4 years of that,
Yeah.
they're pretty solid.
Right. Well, I've done
Weirdly, you know what I mean?
both.
Like arranged marriages.
Yeah. I used to make food for my ex and he would not eat it. He didn't like it. I wasn't the best cook, but it was compounded by then I wasn't getting praise or encouragement. It was bad. And my husband now would eat a brick if I
Right.
made it and was like, is it okay?
He's like,
He'd be like,
ding, ding.
but he's appreciative and he's
Well, that goes a long
grateful.
way.
Yeah.
And you're a better cook
yeah,
now.
Absolutely.
You wasted all your bad years on a guy that didn't care.
I know. Right.
That's
Now
funny.
Andrew eats all the food.
So I find that interesting. And if
Yeah.
you're saying like I make decisions all day, I'm like, well,
It's
I'm
the
sure-
human experience.
did that other person
anymore. Yeah.
didn't? They just woke up
right.
out of a coma.
Right. I don't necessarily have many of my clients complaining about making decisions so much as their difficulty doing so. And so trying to come up with coping skills. There's different type of decision makers. It sounds like you're trying really hard to be what they call a locomotive decision maker. You take what's in front of you and you make a decision
You have to.
and to keep it trucking, right?
Yeah.
Locomotive. There's assessment decision makers that have a decision to make and gather as much information. They like
There's certain
reach
things-
out to people to
Okay.
try to get input, but then they have so much information that regardless of the decision that they make, they're not happy
They're
because
overwhelmed.
they know all the pros and cons. Like you
Yeah.
buy a car and you're like, well, this is the best option, but it does have these things wrong because I know
Yeah.
and then they're never satisfied.
Oof.
I have a lot of those people on my caseload right now that we're trying to like
Sometimes too much information.
you're only allowed to ask 3 people.
I
You're not
heard-
allowed to ask 13 people what their opinions are. What.
You're just wasting time.
Yeah.
You're kind of almost
Yeah.
wanting to be babied.
Well, it is a little bit of like FOMO. They're trying to maximize and optimize on their decision, right? And they're like, this is the biggest, like, I need to make the best. And I was like, it's dinner. Nobody gives a shit. You might you want something that tastes good, but maybe isn't super healthy. Fair. You want something that's healthy, but it's expensive, or you have something that's inexpensive and doesn't taste great. Like,
Yeah.
1, 2, or 3. Tomorrow, you can just go get the other one. It's not
As far
that
as
kind of stuff.
I heard an artist speak recently in an interview, and they were asking about how he makes decisions on certain things. He goes, "I'll be honest, follow your heart. You're really going to your gut feeling immediately.
Yep.
Is usually pretty unless you're some psychopath. He goes,
Right.
normally, it's pretty close. It's almost always pretty close to what you're going to do or be the happiest with."
Yep.
And I listened to another guy, and he said, a kid asked him, "What's the meaning of life?" And he says, "Do what makes you happy and just do it and make decisions. And if you have to move or adjust, move and adjust."
Sure.
Everybody thinks everything's so concreted in. It's
Yeah.
not.
Almost
Listen,
nothing.
ready?
Is,
The
really.
Bible's been edited over 30,000 times. Wrap your head around that.
That's absurd.
Okay. And
Yeah.
people dedicate their entire existence to it. It's
Right.
been changed over 30,000 times.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're telling me in your normal walk, you can't,
Decide which direction.
come on.
Right.
And I don't know if it's just lack of discipline or, there's a lot of
Well,
different reasons.
Yeah. And I think on the flip side of lack of discipline, I think a lot of times people with anxiety overthink things, right? As we
course.
know. And it's like, I only have this life. I only have one shot. And so that adds a layer of pressure stemming from a good place, right? But like, you
I'm
can trade your
so
car in. It's
happy.
not,
I'm so happy that my brain doesn't work that way.
it's really sad
Oh.
when people do that. They're
I
like,
see
I
it.
can't just enjoy it. And
What
if
if
you do
I'm
have
wrong?
a partner, when sometimes it's like, if you eat the wrong thing, that's not the big deal.
Have you seen
If you
the
marry the
Titanic?
wrong person, that's a big deal, right? Like there's some things that are a big deal and they're trying to weigh the pros and
it?
cons.
I don't
Well,
know.
for people
Worked
with
out
moral
pretty good for me.
standards, right? Like
Just
people who
saying.
don't want to get divorced.
Yeah, why?
Well,
Why?
don't they want to get
Yeah.
divorced? Well,
They always want to buy a new
I feel like
house.
most
always wanna
people
buy a new
don't wanna
car.
get
I mean,
Yeah.
these are longer, actually more real decisions that actually follow you.
Mm,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're insane.
that's true.
When I
We've
listen
got
to
a lot
people
of
talk
value
and try to
on
break
things.
it down, I'm like, I literally feel like an alien. I do. I'm like this. You can't be real with this. Are you being serious?
Mhm.
What if we break up? Were you alive when you met them?
Yeah, you'll
That-
live.
like,
You'll live.
Did they give
As
you
long
life?
as you're dedicated to living, you'll live.
It's pretty hard. You'd have to work really hard to not live. It's not easy to do. Well, we've talked about it.
Yeah,
Like, there's
right.
most people don't follow through because they can't do it.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So I'm not encouraging that by any means.
Right.
But
You
what,
could if you wanted to.
but I'm saying
Please
like
don't.
it does come down to, and I've talked to a lot of people about like that codependency. Like when people talk about what a
I've been talking
relationship
about that
is,
a lot lately.
and it literally they describe codependency in every aspect. I want to be their everything. I want
Oh,
to be the most
gross.
important thing in their life.
Gross.
Right. And that's almost impossible to obtain and to
Mhm,
hold on
right.
to. And it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like be your own orb.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Yeah. Your whole person, their whole person. No, I have a lot of clients recently who get pretty offended when I bring up codependency because
They're like, me?
no, I've had a couple who like came back the following session and they're like, when you said this, it really like didn't settle well. And I'm like, well, here are the symptoms. Here are the symptoms. And it's not all like codependency is not a diagnosis. Like it's okay to have codependency traits. It's
It's
I
not the
know.
best.
It's not the best, but it looks a lot of different ways. And we talk a lot about emotional independence in therapy that I'm like, if you're having a good day and you come home and your husband's having a shit day, why are you all of a sudden having a shit day?
It's not yours.
It's not yours.
Not they're
And
being
it's-
crappy to you.
Right. If they're treating you poorly, that's fine. But if they just need a day, why can't you just move on? And they're like, well, he didn't cook and he didn't clean. And I'm like, well,
Yeah, we're
could
still
he have
Browns
a
fans.
day? Right. Like, could he have a day? Are you allowed to have a day? And sometimes there's inequality there. It's like,
I
well,
never
when
thought about that.
I'm having a day or when I'm down, I still have to parent, I still have to cook, I still have to whatever. And he's like, so there's, I don't know, codependency is a hot button topic lately.
That's hard, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But luckily, when I have both people, that's kind of the benefit of couples counseling, is that they're both there, that I can say, do you remember the last time she was feeling sick? And they're like, yeah. Did she still cook? Sick? And they're like, whoa.
Well, she probably always cooks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Wait, you can make your kids can eat I don't care if they eat scrambled eggs. Why can't they eat scrambled eggs? I don't
Pizza?
care. Right. Order pizza.
like,
But that's what I mean. Like,
not
if
to
you
be a
don't have
jerk,
money, like, I don't.
really, you can afford to go to couples therapy. I'm gonna assume you can get some Chipotle for your kids.
Sure.
I'm
I'm just saying,
honest.
regardless of what your financial status is, I would not, if I was sick, I had food poisoning this past weekend.
Yeah.
I would not have
Not
given
from
a
banana bread,
shit.
right?
No.
Okay.
No, crab. Put crab meat
Mike's
on
in
my,
there like,
no, I put crab meat on my salad. It was bad.
oh no.
It was delicious, but then it made me sick.
Oof.
But that day, Andrew could have fed my kids cereal for dinner and I would not have given shit. You know what I mean? Like, I would not have cared.
Yeah.
As long as you handle it, but you have to give up some of that too. As long as they're fed and bathed and put to bed,
Reasonable.
I don't care.
But if a guy's never cooked and he's never had to cook and he's never like, just
That is some people's experience. Absolutely.
100% and go,
Like they've never done their laundry.
Yeah,
They've
but
never put it away.
you're
They had
not-
a laundry fairy that just like put their clothes.
I'm going to assume you're not so sick that you can't DoorDash something,
No.
right?
When I was sick, Smudge bit Bubbles' ear and punctured it,
right.
and she was bleeding. I got up and gave Bubbles a bath.
Did you hear that?
What she was?
You did what?
I got up and gave Bubbles a bath.
Bubbles bath.
Bubbles bath.
But okay.
Because Ryder was upset. Anyway, I mean, it's so codependency comes out, and I think codependency. My point was that thought process that goes with codependency goes a lot with looking for somebody to share your burden, inability to make a decision,
Wanting
looking
to
to your
feel
partner.
important.
Yeah, looking to your partner to make a decision, needing to be needed. I make all the decisions. I really want you to make a decision, but I like the fact that you don't make a decision and you need me to make a decision, right? Like these are the tricks that our brain plays on us.
Be careful what you ask for.
If,
Because once
if your husband started just making all those calls,
you'd have no purpose.
oh, they're very
That's worse.
uncomfortable. Yeah.
I've dealt with that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because I've just go.
Mhm.
I don't need
Right.
much, you know, so to
Right.
find your purpose with me is not easy. You have to kind of create it.
Yeah.
And I love it. You know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah.
I love being nurtured and loved and,
Right, yeah.
you know, taken care of. And, but I've seen it where they're just mad.
All the time.
They're just mad.
Well, and people, I think it's funny. People come to therapy looking for change, and then when they get it, they don't know what to do with it. I'm sure you see that with clients that kind of cycle, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
come back a couple months later, and you're like, "How was it?" And you're like, "Wow." And they're like, "Well, I went home and I talked to them, right? Because you told me I should talk to them, and I talked to them, and things changed. But now it's like on the flip side." And I'm like, "You mean they're doing the things that you asked them to
Yeah.
do?"
Yeah.
they're
Or,
like,
or
"Yeah."
they'll go, well, I mean, how long is this going to last?
Oh,
I'm
they're
like,
so
so you're
negative
still,
every time.
they're doing what you asked them to
right?
do.
They're so
and you're
apprehensive.
still mad.
No trust. I see that. I'm sure you can imagine in
Oh.
couples where it's
I just heard a story
Generally,
about it today.
she complains about him not doing things. He complains about her not putting out. That's like,
Putting on what fires?
no, 75% of the issue that I hear, right?
Fires down there.
He's a physical touch person. He's a quality time person. And I'm finding more and more that men struggle with the prioritizing of children. They don't know. It's a competition thing.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
seen it. Yeah. So men are like, okay, they hear me. Men are problem solvers. Again, generally speaking. So they're like, you need me to do the dishes. You need me to do
They
the
go
laundry.
hard.
They do all the things. And then they come back 3 weeks later and they're like, Kelly,
You said
she's
we
still
should have
not
sex.
sleeping with me. She's still not sleeping with me. But what I hear is her going, well, that's the only reason he's doing it. And I have to be like, no.
Okay,
No.
ready? Can I ask a question?
Mhm.
That's what she said. When you're in
Yeah,
therapy
right.
and your husband goes, well, she won't sleep with me, and she goes, well, he doesn't do this. He
Yeah,
doesn't
I
help
don't
me
have
with
ti-
this.
I don't have
He
mental
doesn't.
space, right?
He doesn't do this, and then he does all that, and she's like, well, he's only doing that because you told him. Well, normally, most things in my life are done because I've told somebody that I needed something, or I'm.
Well, right. I try to circle it back because And again, this is the mental health lens, right? There's a film that just makes them apprehensive and judgmental and lack trust. And so they're like, well, it's tit for tat. They did these things and now they want something from me. And I have to reframe that like, no, they verbalized their needs and you verbalized your needs. He's trying to meet yours.
And you're not.
Because you said that that's what you needed.
You
Isn't
literally were given a platform to speak about why you weren't and why you weren't being physical with him.
Sure, which is valid. So many women are like, I have so much shit going through my brain. I don't have time. Like it's sexual intimacy or any sort of relational intimacy is not even on my agenda.
Till they get single. And then they weirdly make a ton of time for guys who don't clean their house or take care of their kids.
But I'm like, if you said it was a priority, I mean, there are sessions that I hold that I'm like, the only goal of today's session is to identify your needs. I don't want you to worry about what your partner's going to say or vice versa. Where are your needs? What do you want? They bring it out. And then 3 weeks later, the husbands are like, I feel like I've been doing good. And she's like, wow. I mean, he has been showing effort, but we'll see. And I'm like, okay, well, again, and I think I've said this before, not to compare relationships to child rearing, but if we're talking about like behavioral reinforcement, would it hurt you to physically connect with your husband? I feel like you could.
Some guys just want you to run your hands through their hair.
Touch his knee while he's driving. That's it. That will go.
Dude, if you rub my neck while I'm driving, like just put your hand up on my neck. I literally, what do you want? What do you need?
Right. Well, I told one of my clients about your couch the other day. And she was like, that's our issue.
Is that who was at my house?
Our issue. She's like, no, that's our issue. She's like, we just got a new couch. No joke. Just got a new couch.
The Thomas Couch Theory?
A couple months ago. And she's like, things have changed. And we like picked it apart and we were talking about physical intimacy and closeness. And she was like, they have armrest things that come down that like have cup holders and chargers.
Marketplace.
And she was like, I never.
Marketplace.
She's had it for maybe 2 months.
Get rid of it.
And she's like, what do I do?
Throw it away.
I told her, I was like, well, the guy I do the podcast with, I'm pretty sure that couch would have been brand new. But as soon as he connected the dots.
Yeah. I don't sit on it anymore. Yeah. I sit on the other couch.
Right. Why not?
I have 2 couches.
Yeah.
Sit on the other couch.
I said, or just be mindful. Be mindful. You can sit in your recliner and his recliner with an armrest and still touch him.
Yeah, but I'm telling you right now.
It's not the same, but.
Yeah. What are we going to do? Like in 100 years, they figure out this was like the pinnacle thing that ruined Earth. So I'm going to ask a question. So women that, you know, they don't want to be intimate with men, you know, because they don't help them around the house or nothing like that. Those women all end up breaking up and then literally will sleep with tons of guys, which is fine, but those guys don't do anything for them. So what's the difference?
Empowering. It's empowering. That's the difference.
And resentment.
It's all sex. I
mean, resentment for the partner.
Yes. And sex holds a lot of power.
Yes.
Women hold a lot of power in sex.
Not to be a jerk, it's one of the few things you guys have on us.
Absolutely. That we say we don't, but it's a whole, right. Let's not get on that platform. But if I know, if I'm an unhealthy woman with an unhealthy mindset, and I know that this is the pinnacle thing that you desire, I can't, that holds weight. And if you're not meeting my needs, it's very easy to just say no.
It's a good tool
in a relationship with healthy boundaries, right?
Yeah.
No, I don't want to. I'm tired. They go to sleep early. I can't tell you how many couples don't go to sleep together, which is like a core thing that I'm like, I don't care if you lay in bed. I go to bed with Andrew sometimes and put my earbuds in and I'm just scrolling and listening, but I'm in bed with him.
Yeah.
Every night. So I
think
there's times, power. Yeah.
I mean, if somebody's working on a project and the other one's
Thursday
like, hey,
nights I write notes, so
I'm
I don't
tired.
go to bed. Yeah.
Like I got to get to bed and be like, okay, I'll be in. But at least when you go in, you make it a thing. You know, you make it a effort to like, you know, be close to them.
No. But it's this powerful thing that I can keep it from you to try to improve your quality. And if you don't meet my standards or if you leave because I'm a bitch.
Right.
That same coin holds value over here. It's the same.
Yeah, currency.
Yeah, it's the same currency.
So that's one thing I want to get into this season.
Okay.
The other thing I want to get into is
Mhm.
overlap.
What do you mean?
Relationship overlap.
Please do tell.
Okay.
What does relational overlap mean?
Okay. I think we don't talk about relationship overlap and how much you have loose ends that aren't done or tidied up before you start something new.
Oh no.
It's like projects in the house, but for your heart.
Are we going to talk about closure? I hate talking about closure. It makes me mad.
I just recently got some closure.
I would love to talk to you about that.
But guess what?
I feel like closure is bullshit.
I didn't pick
tell
it.
people that all the time.
I didn't pick it.
Oh.
It just didn't make me want to throw up anymore. And I went like this. Oh, I don't care anymore. It was neat.
So personal closure,
Uh-huh.
not closure with the person.
Well, that's been closed.
I know, but like that's what
But I'm
people
saying,
like. Yeah, okay.
no.
Just to clarify, people always come to me and they're like, "I just need closure," and I'm like, "That's
You don't get to
trash.
pick it.
That's not."
No, closure just comes to you.
Yeah, you're trying to find a different way to solve the problem, and that's what people
I
identify
just want
as
peace.
closure. Yeah.
Okay, well, then now you have peace.
Find it.
No, you have it. Right here. It's right here.
Right. Yeah.
You got it. You
Just-
want it? Just
right.
do it.
Just have it. Right.
What do you mean?
So emotional.
Can you make yourself be angry?
I could.
Well, okay.
I'm an angry person. That's a
But
personality
You
trait.
can make
Yeah,
yourself
right.
mad about the corniest things. You're telling me you can't make yourself peaceful? I believe in the yin yang of life.
Yeah.
It has to exist on both sides or it's not real.
Right.
It literally is not real. If you can't flip it, it is
Right.
not real.
Mm.
It does not exist.
That's interesting.
There's nothing on earth that it
Doesn't have a flip.
No.
Yeah.
So if you can make yourself angry,
Mm-hmm.
if you can immediately go, that makes me mad. Well, then go, that makes me peaceful.
Right.
You have that
doesn't
power.
make me mad. That makes me happy.
But you
makes
have
me
that
calm.
power.
Yeah, right.
Okay. There's a
Okay.
guy that said this, and I thought it was brilliant too. He said, you can choose hope and love, or you can just be mad. And being mad is the easiest way out because you don't have to do nothing.
Oh,
You-
yeah.
But to choose love and hope,
It's hard. Harder
well, a
At
little.
first,
a
yeah.
little.
at first.
Then you get used to it and you're like this. I don't care. I'm in love.
Yeah.
You know, I can find love or beauty or hope in anything.
Right.
So the overlap.
Mm-hmm.
People come in and they don't realize like what they do while they're single still affects them because well, you know, I was single.
Uh-huh.
Why you can't hold it against me because I was single. Well, they're still messaging you. Well, it's nobody. Really, I don't just have nobody message me. Is that fair?
Yeah, I have a lot of standard operational.
Loose ends, tons of loose ends.
Well, I have a standard behavioral practice where it's like, this is what happens, and this is how I find it leaves the least loose ends possible. Other people are not as disciplined and do not have those practices.
No,
It comes up a lot.
and I think we don't talk about it, and
Mhm.
you could be in a good relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But because how you handled yourself in being single,
Yeah.
it comes back to roost.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Like a baby.
I mean, but even that,
Yeah.
like, it's
I mean,
more
like,
of this.
how
Say
you
you're just
conducted
talking to a
yourself,
ton
yeah.
of people.
Sure.
Okay. And
Okay.
it'd be like,
All
well,
right.
I'm
So you're just
single.
out
I can
there,
talk
right,
to,
yeah.
okay. Let's be honest. Most people know within a few conversations whether that's your kind of person or not.
I would agree.
But
yeah.
you will just keep yourself busy
Yeah.
and you'll keep chatting to them because it just keeps you occupied.
Distracted. Sure.
Okay. Well, say that you're doing that to 3 to 9 people because that's
Yeah,
probably the
That's
average.
standard,
Is
right?
that fair?
Yep.
Once you find somebody you're like, man,
Mm,
this person's kind of my jam.
yeah.
I
I really
really
like
like them.
them. Yeah.
And then you start cutting, like you don't cut them off. You don't really cut them
No,
off.
you let them fade.
Right. But
Let them simmer.
but you didn't because, and when they message you through that, you just kind of like, you didn't really tell them, hey,
Back
I'm
burner-
talking to
back burner
somebody.
style. Yeah.
Right. And you could be having a wonderful relationship with somebody and your phone lights up and they're like, who's that? And you're like, nobody. Immediately, the person you're laying with is going to be like,
Weird.
well,
Right. Who's nobody? I would prefer full transparency.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's actually a girl I was talking to a couple months ago.
I need to let them know that I'm seeing someone.
Yeah. I haven't heard. I haven't talked to her in a while. I don't know why she's texting me or like.
I'm not
open
saying-
it. Yeah.
I'm not
open
saying
it.
you have to be proactive and message everybody.
Right. I've actually. I'm taking myself off the market and send a mass text. That'd be weird.
No.
But
Just let everybody know.
a lot of people I find set a boundary that just incorporates boundaries. That they will post something
Yeah.
with a person. I did that when I was single. I was talking to only 2 people, Andrew and one other guy, and I had never met him before. But there was like this natural shift of my attention, right? Because
Yeah.
I really enjoyed talking to Andrew.
Right.
And the other guy was super sweet. He
Yeah,
really was.
Back burner. You still got a shot, bud.
Right. No,
Just kidding.
he lived far away. And so we hadn't seen each other. And so it just
Right.
kind of simmered. And then eventually, after a couple weeks, I posted something where Andrew just was in it. And I knew it was
They call that a soft launch.
Yeah, it was the like pussy thing to do, but
Yeah.
in my opinion, I should have just said, "Hey, I met somebody," but it was enough.
Yeah.
And he faded, but I felt like it got the message across.
Yeah. So overlap, I think, is a big thing. I'd like to get more into that in this season because I think it
okay.
affects people more than they realize. I think if you want to have a health,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like
I
starting a
talk
new
about-
job
Yeah, I
or
talk
buying.
about boundaries so often.
Well, more like this.
Yeah.
If you want to get anything good in your life, like a new job or a new house or
Mhm.
anything, like if you
Yeah.
want a new house, you have to have your credit in order. And you're
Yeah,
like, well, I
sure,
didn't
right.
have a house. I didn't really care about that. Well, it's going to be more difficult.
Right. Yeah. If you're living as though you don't care.
So if your sex credit score doesn't matter to you, cool.
Have at it,
You
right.
don't need credit.
That's fair.
Keep renting forever.
Yeah.
You don't get to buy.
Yeah.
Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. That does come up now that you word it like that. I have quite a few couples who are, or clients who are dating and they're having a hard time because of some of that. The guy is living a bachelor lifestyle, never brings a girl home. And now she's not going to his house. And she's like, why aren't I going to his house? But maybe it's because he's used to living a lifestyle where he just doesn't do that.
I've noticed a lot of men, especially older men, they will, if a girl jerks them around, like first wife,
Mm-hmm.
kid's mom, whatever,
Mhm.
they will horribly hold every woman to like, sorry, I don't do that. I'll never do that
Yeah,
again. And I'm
right.
like, dude, that's not okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's really not okay. That's not fair to them.
Yeah.
That's a pretty horrible life.
People who are that rigid, I think, just struggle. It makes it miserable. I have couples on my caseload where she made him lunch, like packed lunch, right? That night, the next morning, she goes out to the car and his lunch is still sitting there and he just kind of picked at it and didn't really eat it.
Never to get
Done. I
Maybe
mean, like,
no,
no,
you were too busy.
no wiggle room.
Not you didn't
None.
have time to eat
Nope.
lunch. Not that you just weren't feeling well.
No.
Not
And
that
she
they
said it
ordered
made-
pizza at work and you didn't know they had pizza. And what would you rather have, hot pizza or a cold sandwich?
She did not give a shit. She
Yeah.
that day
She
woke
sounds
up
awesome.
early. Well, she woke up early and really tried. That was her like trying to do something. And she was like, I didn't really feel appreciated. To which he was like, I'm pretty positive. I said, thank you. Like,
Can I ask a question?
Mhm.
Did he ask her to do that?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you
I think it was
invent-
something that she just had in her head that this would be really awesome. So she did it.
Okay, then make her own lunch if she thinks it's kind of awesome.
Right.
If I don't need you to do something for me and you go out of your way to do something and then you're like, you don't even care that I did that. I go, I didn't ask you to do that.
Would you say that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now?
Yeah.
I've learned a whole new thing this
Yeah.
summer.
Yeah.
I will speak exactly how I'm feeling if asked about it.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you exactly
Right.
what I'm feeling because I'll be honest. What do you have to lose? Being quiet has probably lost me more people
Yeah.
than actually advocating for myself.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Yeah.
So if somebody didn't ask you to do something and you're mad that they don't appreciate it, that's weird. Say that out loud.
That's fair.
Like imagine
Yeah,
going
you're
up to a homeless guy and like making his bed and like starting to comb his hair. He'd be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
You're like, well, your hair's going to look better. And he's like, I didn't fucking ask you to do that.
Right.
You wouldn't like if somebody pushed your cart around for you at Giant Eagle.
No, that'd
You'd
be
be
weird.
okay.
Right. That'd be weird.
So you could do that to your mate and then be mad that they didn't respond the way, so you did it for a
Mhm.
response.
Yeah. You did it
Not
for the
okay.
credit.
Not okay.
You did it for the
You
credit.
created a scenario that you could be praised
Mhm.
for something they didn't ask.
Or it dwindles down to like the love languages, right? That we've talked about it.
Right.
Like that's acts of service. That's nice.
It's amazing.
But if it's a swing and a miss, it's a swing and a miss.
Not if they didn't. Listen,
You could have slept in and texted him 30 minutes after he got to work, just saying, I love you and thank you for going to work today. And that could have been better. You know,
Yeah.
like you got to be intentional.
well,
And now the guy, he's like, well, shit. I mean, if you want to make me lunch, like, I'll eat it. And she's like, I'm not making you lunch. And he's like, well, but he's trying to adjust, right? Like, if that's your love language and how you give affection, I will be better. I will eat whatever you pack.
Or go, I want to choose what I eat for lunch because I'm a human.
It's kind of a weird thing, right? Yeah.
I mean,
sure.
Like, I remember 20 years ago, I was with a girl. We lived together, and she's like, "Hey, I'll start doing your laundry." I was like, "Okay," but it was important to her.
Oh, she wanted, that was like her role.
Yes,
yeah, right.
She wanted to just do that for me, and I was like, "Okay, I like my clothes to be clean and like put away, and like
same day or pretty close."
Yeah, I don't.
You don't have a laundry hamper full of clothes.
No, half.
Yeah,
and it gets put in the washer.
Yeah.
Well, one time there was things that I did not have I've never had that since I was 11 years old. Because I've always done my laundry.
Right.
And I just was real kind of blunt with her. I wasn't mean, but I was like, hey, I don't need you to do my laundry anymore. She's like, oh, I'm sorry. I go, I'm not even mad at you.
No.
I'm very thankful that you did it before, but that's one thing that's not on my docket to worry about.
Right. I rather just have it handled.
That's a priority
now I'm leaving it up. Yeah.
Well, when I was young, I didn't have clean clothes one time because, I had a single mom and she was busy.
Sure,
and
right.
I just remember it messed with me really bad. And from that moment on, I was like, I will never have dirty clothes again.
Yeah.
Ever.
Right.
It's a weird thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
But if somebody insists on doing it, I give her a chance. And I wasn't even mad when she couldn't fulfill it.
No,
but
then
busy.
there was a gap there. So instead of me waiting on you, I'll just do it. It didn't bother me to do it in the
100%.
first place.
No, I've done it my whole life.
Right. I'll take it back. Not
Right.
off your plate. I'll just take it back.
Yeah. But if you're inventing things and then mad for the result.
Yeah.
I got this for you and you don't even care. I'm like, I didn't ask for that.
Right.
Buy me a guitar. You better talk to them boys. You don't just buy me a guitar like you never play guitar. I'm like, I would never play that guitar.
I don't know why you bought that guitar.
But if
there's a lot of money for a guitar I will never play.
Oh. No, please no.
Please don't. Right.
So
what sets us both up? You're going to be disappointed with my reaction. I'm going to be disappointed with my gift.
100%.
Ask.
Yeah.
Ask. Actually, that has come up oddly. I've had 2 engagements come up this summer on clients.
Yeah.
Where the girl doesn't like a ring. Two times.
For something that's made up, for something that's literally only been around since the 40s, and it's literally made up by a jewelry company. That is a very stretch to give that much weight to. Okay.
Well, both of them were very gracious. Like, they were not being shitty, but they were just like, you could have asked so many people, done any sort of research. Like, it's kind of like one of those pivotal, like, you don't know me at all. What would make you think that I would? But
you know what's crazy about that? I've talked to a lot of young men about engagements and marriage. I've talked to a lot of families that come in and like, he has the, we just keep bugging him. Like, when are you going to ask?
When are you going to do it?
When are you going to do it?
Yeah.
And I correct people all the time. And I go, this is the only true decision in a relationship that a man has that is 100% solely his. Okay. Like women feel about sex.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Right. Yeah.
This is ours.
I get to decide.
This is ours. And y'all fuck with us so bad about it. Okay. I have a son-in-law. Everybody bugged him. When are you going to marry? When are you going to marry? When are you going to marry?
When are you going to get on one knee?
I remember driving with him. I can remember exactly where we were. And we were talking, I go, everybody bugging you like crazy. He goes, yeah, he's from down south. He's like, yeah, they're always bringing it up. I said, buddy, I don't care if you ever marry my daughter. And he looked at me, had a perfect pause. And I said, unless that's what you want to do, you do that when you want to make her your wife. And she wants to be your wife.
Right.
That is up to you. You are right by her. You are an amazing young man to her. You know what I mean? And weirdly enough, probably 4 or 6 months later, I get a phone call. I get a phone call. Hey, I want to ask her, and it was the sweetest thing ever. And I mean, but when you pressure somebody in like that, like the ring, like you don't even know me. If you ask most men, unless they ask, because they're looking at like, I think that would look beautiful on her.
Yeah.
He's not saying this. Fuck her.
Right,
I don't care
no.
what she wants. He's like,
Yeah.
because
That
my
looks really
tip, you know,
pretty. Right, yeah.
my view of a ring
Mhm.
is going to be very different. Like what I would think you would like,
Right.
you know, because who knows? Like you don't know what kind of shoes. I mean, everybody knows what kind of shoes I like,
Right, yeah.
but I'm saying like that. It is something that they have to wear every day, and it's a social standing. It literally, let's not make it into anything other than a social
it. Nope.
standing. It is.
Mhm.
And
I
that's
agree.
all it is. So if you're men, ask her. If you were to get married, what kind of ring would you like? Can you show me some versions of
Yeah.
it? But here's the other thing. When you say some shit like that,
Oh,
you take away the surprise.
Sure.
So most men are like, I really want to make this special. And now you have to hire a lighting director, a videographer, a boom operator,
To capture the proposal? Is
a
that what you're saying?
location liaison. You know, so I feel bad for young men right now because it is
So
not
much
as simple.
pressure.
Dude, look what they have to do for
I
homecoming.
was just going to say, but look how far it's trickled down.
Oh, yeah.
My oldest is going to homecoming with some girl I've never met. It's like a friend of a friend.
Yeah.
They're all just going together. And I was like, do we have to do
Oh,
he was like, I'm not getting her a poster. I just met her at McDonald's when she was
Yeah.
hanging out with so-and-so.
my 4-year-old grandson had to learn a new TikTok dance just to sit next to a girl at lunch in preschool.
What?
I'm joking. That's, I mean, I'm
I was
being,
like, what? Why?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
right. So my thing is this.
It's
Do you
so
want to
much
be
pressure.
surprised? Then buy your own ring.
Right. Some people do.
Okay, well then that's probably the best for somebody. If you're that
If
picky,
you're that particular, yeah.
then buy your own ring.
Right.
They're not worth anything. Not to be a
No,
jerk.
right,
Diamonds aren't
yeah.
worth anything.
Right. Doesn't
Literally.
matter.
You know, it's a crazy thing when you really think about it. And I do understand it. And it's something we just go along with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they don't care.
Yeah.
You know, and if you don't like the ring, I mean, that would be hard to wear something every day that you didn't like.
No.
So I do understand that
Yeah.
their point.
Yeah. I get it.
But like,
It's just.
but would you want to
what's
have
more
that
important?
conversation
Yeah.
with a person that you've been with for a while? And I don't know about you, but once you're with somebody for a while, you start talking about like, hey, what's your future look like with me? Do you want to get married? Like, how do you
Right.
feel about marriage? If you're having that question, go, hey, I'm not really sure. How do you do that? Like, I'm pretty good at talking.
Yeah.
And I think I'd have a hard time if I wasn't intending on necessarily asking you anytime soon, because if I mention rings with you or talk to you, anybody,
Yeah.
that means there's a timeline that starts, like,
Usually goes
clock
hand in
goes
hand.
on.
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
So I don't know.
It's
Maybe
a
you should put
hard-
that on your dating profile.
Well,
These are the rings I like.
yeah, when I
Is that crazy?
after a couple years of being with Andrew, I knew because we had conversations about marriage. I knew that I did not want a traditional ring. And I knew that he was going to be that guy that's like, oh, that one's so pretty, and spend way too much money. That I'm like, that's not even,
Close to what you
not
want.
even, please don't. We have kids in a house. So I just showed him, I was like, this is for whenever.
Yeah.
This is the avenue. But I just told him, I was like, Gina, if we ever get there, or that's what you're
Ask
thinking,
her.
my best friend, ask her. And I feel like that's the best thing that girls could do is like, don't.
You can't have it a surprise and also think that he's going to know
Yeah.
what you want.
Right. So which is more important? The surprise, the aesthetic? What do you want? Like
I think we should abolish those rings.
all together?
Listen, this is what I,
I
think
wouldn't be opposed to it.
This is what I think we should do. We should get rid of engagement rings. We should also get rid of asking people to be in your wedding.
Ooh,
Best man, bridesmaid. That is it.
maid of honor.
And they get to wear
Just
what
those
they want
two?
to wear.
It's a weird tradition we have.
No,
I didn't
it's
have
garbage.
anybody this last time.
It's garbage.
We eloped.
Here's what's
It's the
funny.
best
Everybody
decision I
hates
could've
being asked to be in a wedding unless you're a best man or a
made.
bridesmaid.
So
If you're a bridesmaid or a best man, or maid of honor, sorry.
Yeah.
If you're a maid of honor or best man, I've never heard too many people complain about that
that's
much
fair.
because it's like your
Because it's an
bestie.
honor.
It's
Yeah.
your friend. Okay. Everyone else hates it. Stop asking people to do it. Stop. Let them come to your wedding and dance and have a good time and not have to buy a bunch of clothes that they're never going to wear again.
Right. Or I don't know. I mean, I hear more about this from women, but like the bridal shower, the bachelorette party, it's just getting bigger and bigger. I have clients who have had to go to like Napa Valley
Destination weddings.
bachelorette party.
Listen to me.
hundreds and hundreds of dollars for
If
an
not thousands.
Airbnb, for a flight, for
No, it's
whatever,
not fair.
not including the
If you
wedding gift and the.
if you would not like that done to you,
Why?
and
are
you hate it
doing
when a girl does that to you or a guy does that to you, why in the hell would you continue perpetuating
Social
that?
status. I'm telling
It's
you,
not real.
it's
No one
all
cares.
about
No one
it-
cares.
That's why.
No
Well,
one cares.
so and so did this, or I heard
Yeah,
about this,
cool.
so I have to. I know.
Cool.
It's so stressful.
Well, it'll probably end a lot of friendships. It does.
It does often. Yeah,
I
it
see
really
it all
does.
the time.
It at least puts strain, and they dip for a while.
Listen, I
until
barely
they-
want to go to a wedding, let alone be in it.
Right. Mm-mm.
Is that fair?
Yeah, I've been in quite a few.
I love
Not as
good
many
weddings.
as some of the other people I know.
And the best weddings I've been to are like super lovey and low key, just
Mhm.
perfect.
Yeah.
You know?
With good food, food matters the most.
Yeah,
If you're having that many people,
I agree.
the main thing is the social
love that.
setting and the food.
Yeah. So, okay.
All right. So
we wrapped that up. What else?
relational overlap. You said you wanted to talk about this season.
It's huge. What you do while you're single, you
Boundaries.
think it's all rules are off.
Oh yeah, because you don't have to
I'm
answer to
single.
it because you're single.
I do what I
Yeah.
want.
It's your status.
Cool.
Yep. Nope. It'll come back.
Do what you want and post it on Facebook and
Mhm.
see if your next employer will
Mhm.
be like, yeah, you're our guy.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not.
Mm-mm.
You know,
Mm-mm.
clean it up a little bit, people. And not just that. Everybody talks about your one life, like you said earlier.
Yeah, that's all.
You only
got.
have this
a lot
one.
of pressure.
Well,
Yep.
guess what? If you're wasting it with someone or even entertaining someone that you know, there's not a chance in hell of that working out.
We do that sometimes.
That is not fair.
right.
It's not fair to them. It's
Unless
not fair
we're
to
all
you.
aware. If we're all aware that this is just what it is,
Like a booty call.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that you're not wasting your time. That actually has a purpose.
that's fair.
Is that you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
There's a lot of categories, and I feel like communication, obviously, and transparency as to
Yeah.
like where you line up.
All right, so I got one more thing to talk about and we'll wrap up. 'Cause
Yeah.
we're just our intro to season 3. I recently heard of somebody going on vacation and they
Mhm.
were at a resort and they were with a group of people and they met another group of people that have been going down there the week after Labor Day for 30 years without their mates. And everything goes. And now it's got to the point where there's different people coming from all over the world that have been in these resorts and they keep going back and kind of hooking
On like
up
a specific date.
the week after Labor Day.
Okay. It is a specific place, like a specific so like a swingers weekend.
But it's not really swingers. I think it's
Just like a hiatus.
yeah.
We just get to
And these are high earning, successful people.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like this, like,
Mm-hmm.
wow. So I want Mindy to come in and we can talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because I find that very interesting. Why do you think like the wives give them passes? Because they're doing their own stuff.
I don't know. I continue, and I know we've talked about this previously, and this summer has not changed things. The ratio of my clients who are into some pretty heavy kink
Yeah.
or
What's where you hang out, Chloe?
obviously.
You know?
No, I still like keep reading my bio, and I've given it to other people that I'm like, what about this? Says you guys should come. But I love
Probably
it.
this show.
Maybe.
I mean, not to be a dick.
Yeah,
probably
but
the
people
show.
come to me, and it usually takes, unless they like come straight out of the gate, which I appreciate. It's
Well,
usually
You keep putting your cards up at the
Yeah.
swingers clubs.
obviously on the bulletin board.
I mean, I keep putting
In
your
the
cards
bathroom.
up at the swingers
You do.
clubs.
No, but people are, I think a lot of people are trying to reframe it and figure out what's important to them and what's not, and what boundaries society set for us
Yeah.
versus what them and their partner wants. And when you can have a honest discussion with your partner without
Trust.
judgment,
Real trust.
just to explore it, I facilitate those conversations a lot. But you can't, and this is, I guess, my biggest recommendation, you can't even flirt with the idea of stretching if you guys are not okay. Like,
No.
you have to be okay. And if you're not satisfied and there's a hole, like a gap, that's one thing, but we all need to be aware
Trusting,
and yes,
loving.
and acknowledge the fact that there's
On the
needs that
same
aren't
team.
being met. Yeah.
I recently heard somebody say, they were talking about one of their friends was dating some guy and they had been intimate with each other. And then the next time he asked her to do something that she wasn't necessarily comfortable with.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And
It happens all the
Yes.
time. Yeah.
but it was like, it was a weird conversation. I want to talk to Mindy about it too, but you know, but the way they looked down on it, it was almost like well, he's being transparent.
Well, yeah. I don't know. We've talked about the quiz. There's so many quizzes out there, and it's not even necessarily about kink anymore. It's just sexual preference and who you are. Like it's
I had that conversation
okay.
this week, and I said, you know, like the people that take those tests, and like they didn't even know they were into the same thing, but they were so afraid to talk about it, and they're like,
Yes.
"Oh my god, you're into that too?
Right.
That's cool."
Well, and when you're in the moment and you're exploring because you're elevated, right? A lot of people, that's kind of the ideal, right? We're both
Yeah.
elevated and we're into it, and somebody says something or does something that maybe ideally pushes a boundary or flirts with it.
Sparks.
Sure. Versus like leaping. But if you're with your
Snap.
why are you having sex with somebody who you don't trust? Like, why are you so offended by? You're in a vulnerable situation. If they're going with it and you didn't like it, why can't you just have a conversation about that?
Yeah. Well,
You're
I can tell you
you
why.
are putting yourself in an extremely vulnerable situation where things are bound to happen, and I think sometimes people have unrealistic
They're
expectations.
oblivious to it.
Yeah.
Well, think
Like,
about
yeah,
it.
he might smack you. Should he just smack you without permission? Probably not. But if he does, why are you like,
I can't believe this
I
is
can't
happening.
believe he would do that to me?
Right.
Well, chances are there was some lead up, right?
Yeah.
Like,
if you're
it's
tied up, there
right.
might be some smacking.
Right.
You know, if you're just sitting there eating fucking bagels,
Right. But
probably not.
Yeah, no, probably not.
Maybe.
No, but I feel you're right. It's still, our society has a long way to come with
Well,
the
I
taboo of sexuality. And
You want to know my connection to that immediately?
Hmm.
Your parents.
what do you mean?
How could you speak to your parents?
Mm.
How could you speak to the people that you needed to speak to?
Yeah.
If you can't speak to your parents without feeling like you're going to be bludgeoned
Yeah.
verbally,
Yeah.
what makes you think you're going to talk to your mate any better?
Right.
If you as a parent don't give your kid a safe place to express themselves, that doesn't mean they get away with whatever they want to talk about. You know what I mean? Like, as
No,
far as
yeah.
like, but if they don't feel that they can trust you to talk to you honestly without a ton of judgment, like, or any judgment, like there's going to be some judgment. Like, we'd be lying
sure.
if to
Right,
say there's
yeah.
none. That, I think, really affects adults in their relationships.
Mm.
Because the people I know that could talk freely to their parents or reasonably to their parents, they seem to talk freely and reasonably to their mates.
No, that tracks. That tracks.
You know?
Yeah, my dad was a phenomenal person, but there was definitely, he was really conservative. There were things we did not talk about.
Right. But he
And
also
that
gave you a
set,
safe place to
yeah.
talk about. Like, if you had to come to him with some serious shit, he'd be
Sure.
like, baby, what's up?
Sure.
Right.
Right.
Not like, I don't need to go talk to your mom. I don't need to know.
No, but it did kind of at least set a boundary for me as a healthy adult, I would say, of like, there's a place and a time to talk about certain things. And there's
Yes.
things that are private that you don't
Yes.
just talk willy nilly.
No, like what kind of things you're getting delivered to CVS? Not everybody needs to hear about that.
Finances were completely off the table.
Yes.
Medical
Yes.
concerns were completely off the table.
that's my-
Sex, obviously,
Yeah.
not even
Yeah.
near the table.
And I understand that. That's a generational thing
right,
too.
yeah. Yeah.
I actually, I've had clients that are too open with their kids that it makes me uncomfortable.
Oh, kids know way too much.
Not just that,
sometimes.
this boy was doing some things and she's joking about it. I was like, how do you know that he's
No,
doing
right.
like that's not a joke.
No, that's not okay.
I thought that
Right.
was a little inappropriate too.
Yeah.
So
no
we'll get into a lot of that.
intergenerational.
All right. So
expectations.
season 3 is coming for y'all. Just remember this. You can send us on all the socials at Not So Tender Podcast and ask us any subjects you guys want to hear about this season. We have a little list going,
Mhm.
and we'll get into them. We're going to have a couple guests this season, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to get a little deeper than we did on the first 2 because I had some real eye-opening things that I looked into this summer that really,
Yeah.
I did some deep dives on some stuff because I keep seeing people having the same issues.
Mhm.
And I want to talk about connection, whether we even have a connection with people. And everybody wants to, they're so obsessed with their connection with a person.
Mhm.
I'm so over the word connection that because it's not real. it's not real at all.
There's no flip.
No, there's a connection if someone's touching you or in the room with you.
Yeah.
But when you're not with somebody, it's just a memory, and you're basing your connection on a memory. And if you lost your memory, you wouldn't have a connection with them. So then, it's not real.
That's fair.
So I want to get into that about connection, because everybody's obsessed with connection.
It's true.
But it's not real. It's literally not real. There's a connection when you're laying with somebody. There's a connection when you're in the room with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Once you are not in the room with somebody, you do not technically have a connection with them. It is completely fabricated in your head. And eyewitnesses are almost always wrong. So you're an eyewitness to your own relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a hunch you might be wrong sometimes.
So deep down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, I went hard because it's important.
Yeah.
It's really important because it's something that literally is
Comes
such
up
a
a lot,
common thing with connection.
I don't feel connected. Yeah. No.
Yeah, you don't feel connected, and go, you're not connected.
Right.
Because you're not.
Right.
How can you feel connected when you're connected when you're touching somebody?
Yeah. No, you're right. I challenge people a lot in similar ways that you do, of like, well, tell me what that means. Like, what does being connected mean? How can you explain it? And they're like,
Oh, so how do you know you're missing it?
well, connection and communication come up a lot hand in hand. Well,
Yeah.
we don't communicate.
The two C's?
Literally talks to you all the time. Like, I don't.
What? Communicate about what?
Right.
He just says, he doesn't talk about his day.
Or all he talks about is his day.
It's-
Right. Yeah. Like it's
Shut the
all he
fuck-
talks about
Are
is
you
at work.
serious?
Yeah, all the time. All he ever wants to talk about is work. And I'm like,
What's-
what do you want to talk about? And they're like, I don't know, like
Anything
the kids and
but
the family.
work.
And I'm like, that's your job. He comes home and all you want to talk about is your kids. How is that different?
Are they that oblivious?
Yeah, because I think that they have
Well,
this
you got some
idea
job
of
security.
connection. I know, but I think that's because our society puts connection on a platform, and that's a buzzword, right? That you need to feel connect. I think that's a
And you literally,
big topic. yeah.
literally, there's no connection.
No, but that goes hand in hand with the conversation I said earlier, where men are looking for connection, and they can speak on it. They can put their finger on, like, we don't have sex, we don't lay in bed together.
That's a real
we
connection.
Don't, like, yes,
No, that's an actual connection.
connection. But the women are looking for an emotional connection or a cognitive connection.
That's not a real thing.
I would disagree. So that'll be a good.
Yeah.
That'll be a good
Well,
episode.
no.
Yeah.
Listen, if you're sitting in a room talking to someone, you can
Yeah.
have an emotional connection.
Yeah.
If I'm not in your room and you're mad at me because we don't have a connection, because we don't.
Oh yeah.
You have a memory of me.
Mm-hmm.
You have a
think
memory
about
of
me.
a situation.
No, but there's scientific studies that are like all about people's close proximity and how you can be chemically bonded and connected with people because
Okay.
of, yeah.
You ready?
I know. Go
So
ahead.
here's the theory I used on that when I was talking to a client.
Mhm.
And we were talking. I said, you ever been to Jogga Lake? And he goes, you're, 5. And what I literally nailed it.
Mhm.
I go, you're 5'7", you weigh 170 pounds. He goes, you're right. I go, do you think we have a connection? No, I can look at you and go, you're not having a good day.
Right.
You're happy. I can go, oh man, you look so
Social
happy to.
cues.
That's not a fucking connection. That's an observation.
Right. That's fair.
Okay, that is not a connection. Like, I can just tell when she's sad. Who in the fuck? You can see that from Mars, okay? Like,
Sure.
like-
Sure. Right. Yeah.
you can feel certain things. Like, if you're observant, I'm very observant, so I can see
Yeah.
things. And most things I don't bring up because I'm like this. I'm not digging into
touching that.
No,
No,
because I
I'm not
don't want
touching
to.
that. Right, no.
But what I'm saying is, like, you yearn for this connection because you want to feel special.
Well, yeah, connection. When we talk about like cognitive or emotional connection, it usually comes up with communication. And they're like, I just want to know that you care. That's the emotional connection. I want you to ask about my day. I want you to ask follow-up questions when I tell you stuff. And it's not eyeball to eyeball
Right.
because we're in the thick of it. And he's like, I don't want to be eyeball to eyeball. I want to be hoo-ha to hoo-ha. Like I want to connect physically. And she's like, I don't want to watch TV and sit with you. I want there's validity to that.
Right.
But I hear
understand
what
it
you're
to
saying,
a point,
yeah.
but like you have to be able to define that.
Yeah, and they can't.
I want a connection. No, you want a crack pipe. You want to just get a hit and feel good,
You
but
want
there's
a
no.
spark.
You don't
It's a
want real. You know what the real is?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it.
Oh man.
The real is the mundane.
Yeah.
The real is, can I exist with you?
Mhm.
not can I have fun with you? I can have fun with anybody.
Yeah.
I could go to Vegas with anybody, be like, this is dope. I could go
Right.
to a nice restaurant with anybody, be like,
Sounds
hell
good.
yeah.
Food's good. Right.
Can I sit with you quietly
Yeah.
and not want to punch you in the face?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Can you,
that's-
the way you breathe,
I
not make me
know.
crazy?
Well, that's the thing. A lot of people are looking for somebody to bring them peace. And it's like, no, I think the flip of that is true. Can I be peaceful with you with me?
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
are
Like,
you
if
going
I'm
to
washing
disrupt
dishes,
my peace? Why am I looking for you to add to my peace? Do you disrupt my peace? Can we coexist and you don't bother me?
and if you're
Which
not
is a pretty low
peaceful,
bar. But
if you're not peaceful, why are you engaging in a relationship?
yeah, you need to find that on your own. And
So-
it's magical when you find somebody who can enhance that.
Oh, it's
I
next
mean,
level. It's next level. No, I'm telling you,
yeah.
to actually feel like I can actually be myself.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's taken, I mean, Andrew and I, 5 years very soon, maybe tomorrow. Now that I think about it, I just thought of the date. I was like, oh, shit. I think it's tomorrow. Our like meet-iversary, like our original OG meeting.
Yeah.
But 5 years in, comparatively to our lives, is a blip, right?
Yeah.
But it's just now that I'm
5
like,
years in
I
prison is
can
a long
be
time.
right. I can be dumb. I can tell a joke that doesn't land that we can both laugh at and I'm not embarrassed. I don't like,
Yeah, you can be yourself.
what does it matter? I can be a little messy. I can be
I think trust,
neurotic. I can
like, I think being able to feel no pressure, and that doesn't
be
mean
anything. Yeah.
you'll co-sign whatever I do.
No, I don't want an agreeable
No.
man. I want you to
But what I'm saying
challenge
is,
me.
like, to actually feel like I can express myself, and I have a venue that
Mhm.
that allows me to do that safely
Yeah.
and respectfully.
Yeah.
I've not had that a ton in my life.
Mm.
So
It's
to-
new to me. It really is. To exist as if he were not there, to conduct myself and exist in the way that I would naturally,
Yeah.
and to be able to not only do that with him watching freely, but to think out loud, right? Because if he weren't
Yeah.
there, I'd be talking, right?
Yeah.
Everybody talks to themselves. I can think out loud, and he knows me
Yeah.
now, and he
That's-
doesn't judge me. We might giggle because
It's a gift.
it's silly.
It's not for everybody.
No. And most
No.
people don't make it to that because they have all of these expectations and barriers that get in their way of what they think they want.
Yeah.
It's so much calmer on the other side of that, though.
All right, we'll get back
All
into
right.
that.
Okay.
You guys be nice to each other. If you have a weird kink or into some really weird shit,
love to hear
get a
about
hold of Kelly, and she's got some openings on the books.
Ooh, actually, not very much.
I know that I was joking, but because I
Don't.
know she's booked up. But
No, but you could call in here and we could talk.
Yeah, we'll do
You could
that.
call in here, right in here.
Yeah. So he's going to put
That's
the
the way
number
to
up on the
get me.
screen. It's
Yeah.
234. What is it, Jay?
I don't know. Where'd my sticker go?
I know we changed.
Oh, no.
We're good.
That's
so we'll
fine.
get that.
Hit us
whatever.
up on our socials.
Yeah. Instagram,
We'll be there.
TikTok. Check us out on there. We're everywhere.
Right. But now's the good time. I want to know what they want us to talk about
Yeah.
or what guests they want us to have. Not
Bring 'em in.
people, but like what topic?
Yeah. I'm in.
I would love to know.
You guys have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.